I hope so. Yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah, Bruce McCormack, that's my name. First 51 years of my life was spent in South Africa, but I got offered a job here in Ireland by the Irish government. I came here, worked in the planning section of the Department of Environment for 13 years. Basically, I had between 7 and 12 counties for which I was responsible, but I've also been very much involved in spatial data matters. I retired at the end of middle of 2014, set up my own one-person consulting company, and just one of the jobs that I've had is I've been involved in the in Africa environmental assessment report, which was published last year, and it's going into the global assessment report, so I've been involved with that. That's enough background. It's quite interesting listening to all this. It's very, very like putting a sensor here and this here, and it's all very detailed. I'm going to take a step back and go 800 kilometers up into space, take a satellite kind of view of things, and the topic is not this continent, but that one, Africa, which is where I come from. So, Africa. Okay, what's going on? Population, start with that. Current population, there's different numbers, but 1.2 billion people currently living in Africa. Sometimes you see a little bit different numbers. And it's estimated by UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme, 2.5 billion in 34 years' time. It's a doubling in 34 years. That's about 38 million annually. I mean, that's what's going on. Can you imagine a doubling? You go to some of these places and you see people everywhere. For every one person, there's two. Can you imagine that? Motor cars get consumed, water gets consumed, environmental impacts and so on. That is enormous growth. It's the fastest continent by far in the world. Okay, let's jump ahead to 21,000. You can see here, this is what, I mean, these are all estimates and guesstimates, but look at the size of the African population compared with India and China. I mean, I'd say it's probably not quite or bigger than what's going on in those two. That's what anticipated is going on. It's absolutely staggering what's potentially coming down the track. And I've got 5 grandchildren, all under the age of 7, and they're going to live through all of this stuff, I have no doubt. Why is it going on? This is just one little example. I mean, it's a big, complicated picture, but it shows fertility rates, the number of children per woman in childbearing age. Now you can see those numbers right at the top there. Everything above this color is more than 4 children, and you can see the dark colors, there's 6 children per woman. Enormous numbers, and there's also, it's a very young population, and there's high fertility levels. Now, UN and others thought that fertility was going to drop quicker than it isn't dropping as quickly as anybody supposed. So fertility rates are still extremely high on the basis of a young population. The population is going to explode, as you saw in that early on. Okay, that's sort of total number stuff. I'm going quite quickly through all this stuff, but where are they moving to? This is a current example of urban populations. You can see like 560 million in China sitting in urban. Look at Africa at the moment. Very relatively low numbers, not huge like some of these other places. That's the current situation. Urbanization levels, you can see here, to a large extent, all these colors here, 20 to 40%. So in other words, like relatively low levels of urbanization cover huge parts of Africa. So you've got an exploding population, you've got relatively low levels of urbanization. What's coming? Estimated 450 million people between now and 2050, that's this 34 years time, are going to move, it's not already the urban people, move from the rural to the urban. You imagine in 34 years, 450 million. That's almost the total population of the European Union moving from a rural to an urban area. 13 million annually. These are estimated, now these are guesstimate stuff, but Lagos, estimated 40 million people. 40 million people. Kinshasa, Cairo, you can see all that stuff. Urban growth rates doubling every 17 years. And of all of those urban people, look at this one at the bottom here. Habitat estimate at the moment 200 million people living in slums. They call them slums. In South Africa, we couldn't use that word. We called them informal settlements. We had to be politically correct. There's lots of formal urban settlement. This is what I think is one of the nicest cities in the whole world, Cape Town. That's there. That's Lagos. That's, I think, some estimates, the greater Lagos, already 20 million people living there. 62% of the African population live in informal settlements. That's urban and rural, so it's very, very high. Now, last year, I was in Nairobi, and I went to this place, Kibera. It's part of Nairobi. Now that's a golf course, so you can see the size of a golf course. That's Kibera. I'd like to ask you, how many people do you guess live in that Kibera, that area? Take a guess. Sorry, Galway city has got 85,000 people, I think, the whole Galway city. How many people do you think? That's the golf course.
The size of Galway?
No, it's not comparing this physical size. But I'm just saying that's a golf course. That's Kibera. How many people would you think live in that? Take a guess. Somebody there.
It's basically like the size of 2 golf courses, maybe 3. So 10,000?
It should be.
No.
About 250,000 people live in that area. 250,000. If you add the population of the city of Galway, Limerick, and Cork, you come to sort of roughly the same number living in that area there. So it's like completely different from the experience that we've got here. As I say, I was in it. This is just a part of it. That's another part of it there. You can see it. These are pictures I took wandering around. Water. I thought I'd show you some water pictures. That's typical. I mean, it's not odd. It's typical. We found that all over the place there. Now, in South Africa, I worked for 12 years in shack settlements and formal settlements. So I've been around a lot in those kind of settlements. Nothing as big as this one. 250,000 people in that area, packed, absolutely packed, with virtually no infrastructure. Here's an example of the water infrastructure. This is the water tank. You can see a bucket there. This was actually just newly built. That was showers. So people could come and pay a little bit of money and they can have a shower. This is the kind of water infrastructure. Now, bearing in mind the population growth, the explosion of these informal settlements, the relative lack of finances and organizational capacity to actually handle this massive shift of rural to urban, there's going to be a lot more of this. Economy, what's going on? This is this year or last year. You can see the size. I mean, there's South Africa, the biggest one, Nigeria, Egypt. But you can see by comparison with the rest of the world, you've got this huge population, you've got a relatively very small economic base. This here is per capita incomes. You can see the low levels of this yellow. Now there's yellow sort of elsewhere, but look at the extent in Africa. It's all over Africa. Low levels of personal incomes. I just took one of these. This is access to electricity. which we just take completely for granted. But you can see, like down here, all these areas here, less than 25% of the population have access to electricity. But, however, now I know it's on a low economic base, but if you look here, the rates of growth that have been going on, obviously there's China and India sitting over there, but there's fairly good economic growth going on, although it's on from a low base. Point that out, and it's easier to have these higher growths from a low base, but still, Goldman Sachs and others have been saying Africa is actually a good place to invest in. Now, this is a mismatch. This is that one from earlier, the population sitting here. This is another way of showing the current GDP. Now, this is Africa sitting here. There's population. Okay, this is 2,100, but that's there. You've got this huge mismatch going on. And the implications of this mismatch are going to be felt absolutely, I have no doubt, in Europe. We cannot turn a blind eye to what's going on. Water, it's finally getting down to what it is. Variation, there's huge variation all over Africa. So, there's extremely dry stuff at the top. There's wet. I mean, this is very wet. There's mixed, this side mixed, dry, very dry, etc., etc. The only point I'm making here is the big variation in the availability of water. What this doesn't actually show is aquifers. And there's actually a lot of aquifers sitting here. But sometimes they're quite hard to get because they're very low down. Now, I've just listed here some of the water issues, quality and quantity issues. Sedimentation, overgrazing, big problem. Using firewood for heating and so on is another one. Forest deforestation, eutrophication, chemicals, solid waste, litter, sewerage. I won't even list them. There's all sorts of things here. And when I was writing this one, you capture water, you store it, you distribute, and there's a whole set of usage issues. And I think of this project and the expertise, for example, sitting around the table. I mean, you could take any one of these stages here, and I'm sure think about applying the knowledge and expertise that's sitting here. Anyway, that's at one particular set. Almost 1 million people annually die from waterborne diseases. Galway, it's approximately equivalent to Galway City, the total number of people in Galway City dying every month from waterborne diseases. This is not nuanced fine-tuning. This is terrible, horrible stuff. And I've been exposed to some of this kind of stuff, and it's horrible. It's not nice. Challenge to us, and I say all of us in Ireland, here in Europe, in fact globally, because as you were seeing before, over the next, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what's happening in Africa is going to have absolute huge, I think, global implications. So it's not just anything. The Sustainable Development Goals, I'm sure you've all heard about it, the water, and I just picked only one of these are the targets. By 2030, expand international cooperation and capacity building, support developing countries, water, sanitation, water harvesting, desalination, all those kind of things. So the big overarching set of aims and targets, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, has, I think, messages in it, particularly this 6A, messages in it for all of us sitting around the table and, also in Europe, for example. What should go on? I mean, this is simplistic stuff, but there is a need for low-tech stuff, low-tech solutions. There's no doubt about that. But also, I think there's possibly high-tech. So it's not an either-or. I think it's an and. That word in the middle, the little tiny word, and. I think it's both. Technological leap, it's possible. Now, when I was involved with the UN last year, this is one of the things I was saying about, it's possible to jump a whole lot of the development phases of technology. Forget, all the development work, the Europeans, the Americans, and Chinese increasingly can do all that stuff. Africa, we take it and jump, okay? And that's a technological jump. I think it's possible. So it's possible to go from wherever we were to some of this stuff, which we're all completely familiar with. It's happened before. Look at this. This was the old landline system. At the moment, there's only about 2% of the population have an effective landline. Landline, gone. What happened in Africa is they jumped straight over the top of that into all this stuff, including services like this. Particularly in Kenya, this was developed, and I think, don't quote me, but I think they lead the world in banking, mobile banking. And mobile phones are going everywhere. I think Kenya is the same, and the ownership of mobile phones is the same as North America. Certainly South Africa is the same level as North America. And other countries are not all that far behind. And that mobile phone might well be a key to the technological jump that I was talking about earlier. There is a broad framework adopted by the Economic Commission for Africa, which is a big player. The United Nations Environment People and the Africa Development Bank. This is a vision for 2035, so there's a kind of broad political buy-in to deal with water. So, to-do list. Via ILO-Link, the European Union, each of your own organizations, use what you guys have developed in this project. Use it. Plus, all the other knowledge and expertise which exists, so it's not only this project. But it's not easy, it's complex, it's not quick. I don't know, does anybody recognize what this actually is? Beer, yeah. It's all the different beers that it may be used in the different countries. But it is possible. Thank you.